So the other day, I released a video about Ghosts of Yote and the overall coping session that is happening around that particular video game on social media, on YouTube, and basically everywhere at this point. Even the gaming journalists are out there trying desperately to cope over that particular video game. But there is one more video game that we haven't spoken about that just recently got an update. Oh no, well actually the game didn't get an update. The gaming journalists and the entire media is out there right now on X, on YouTube, and they're all promoting the same exact story. The Assassin's Creed Shadows video game is overperforming according to Ubisoft. That's the title of a lot of gaming journalist articles out there right now, because obviously Assassin's Creed Shadows is one of the #1 ideologically driven video games that they have attached themselves to. But is the game truly overperforming? Is this game such a massive hit? Did Ubisoft even actually say that Assassin's Creed Shadows specifically is overperforming? No, they didn't. And let's laugh about it. So hit that like button, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about this entire story. Do all the YouTube algorithm stuff that this, video and YouTube likes, because they're ridiculous. And let's get into this entire debacle. So first, we're going to start with the story. If you go on Google right now and you search Assassin's Creed Shadows, you're going to find a whole bunch of articles from multiple gaming journalist websites that are all telling you the same exact story. For example, Games Radar says the Assassin's Creed franchise exceeded our expectations. Assassin's Creed Shadows is overperforming, according to Ubisoft, and is set to reach a wider audience with the release of the Nintendo Switch 2. Then you have Gaming Bolt saying Assassin's Creed Shadows has been overperforming, says Ubisoft. Every single one of these gaming journalists, with the exception of a couple, IGN ironically being the only one that's even remotely transparent, but they're all saying the same exact thing. Assassin's Creed Shadows is overperforming. Assassin's Creed Shadows is a massive win. It's not even just the gaming journalists. If you go over on X, I'll give you an example of one particular tweet, but there's hundreds if not thousands of tweets exactly like this from the typical accounts that you would expect to push this kind of nonsense. You have this person over here, I have no idea who this is, so I apologize. Next Gen Player, aka Hunter, they say the following: Assassin's Creed Shadows is overperforming, says Ubisoft. Ubisoft generated $567 million this quarter, up 39% year on year. Now, we're going to talk about the numbers in a few minutes, so stick around. Check out the timestamps down below if you want to skip ahead, but we're going to talk about the numbers in a minute. I want to focus on this particular statement about Assassin's Creed Shadows supposedly overperforming according to Ubisoft. Now, did Ubisoft actually say that Assassin's Creed Shadows is overperforming? No, they didn't. There's a post here on this particular post from Hunter, and I love this post because it literally calls out the BS. This person, Patback Nitro, says wrong. Ubisoft says that the Assassin's Creed series itself is overperforming, not Assassin's Creed Shadows specifically. Ubisoft refused to share any sales data on Assassin's Creed Shadows and instead shifted the conversation to instead brag about Assassin's Creed Mirage instead, which has just surpassed 10 million players engaged. If Shadows was overperforming, you would think the conversation would have focused specifically on Shadows and how much it sold. So why did Ubisoft avoid talking about Shadows' performance instead of talking about an older game? Guys, this is as plain as day. There's the post here that he decided to link showcasing in their financial report, and I'm going to read it exactly as it says on screen. So check this out. Directly from Ubisoft themselves. This is for all the journalists out there that are saying, oh, they said that Shadows specifically is overperforming. No, that's not what they said. Here is the excerpt from the financial report. It says, Ubisoft said that its Assassin's Creed franchise, including March's Assassin's Creed Shadows, was overperforming and generated 211 million session days, 35% higher than last 2 years average. Hold on, timeout. I have to laugh for a second. Are we now going from copies sold to players engaged to now session days? Are we seriously now so desperate to try to make a game seem as a win that you want to abandon copies sold? You want to abandon even players engaged? And now you're counting how many sessions there were? Are you kidding me? So that means that if I play Assassin's Creed Shadows 2 separate days in a row or 2 separate times in a row, that's going to count as multiple sessions, and you're going to add it up all together to get a 35% higher ratio than the last 2 years average? Are you kidding me? This is the prime example of what it means to misrepresent numbers to make yourself look as good as possible. It says the company did not provide specific sales figures for Shadows. It said this week's update to 2023's Assassin's Creed Mirage had increased that title's lifetime player count past 10 million players engaged. GameFile previously reported employees believed the mini expansion was created with the backing from Saudi Arabia. The game had announced that the expansion in Riyadh had in August at a Saudi government-backed conference, and Ubisoft had repeatedly avoided clarifying the extent to which the kingdom funded the expansion, and the topic did not come up directly in today's results and a call with stock analysts. So they're going to completely avoid that conversation because they don't want people to know where the money's actually coming from, because the money's not coming from sales. Let's be real. The money's coming from investing and backing from particular places that you may not like to hear about. Now, I want to focus on the first part of this particular excerpt, where it specifically stated that Ubisoft said that the Assassin's Creed franchise was overperforming. And by overperforming, they meant session days, not sales, not players, session days. That's what they're utilizing as a metric. Session days. I still can't get over it. They said the franchise is overperforming, but that does include Assassin's Creed Shadows as well in that entire conversation. Now, people are going to say, well, it's because of Shadows. But is it really, though? Shadows is the lowest selling Assassin's Creed game out of almost any Assassin's Creed game that has come out recently. It has not gotten anywhere close to even Valhalla, for example. Mirage has clearly outperformed it as well. Those video games, those are successful Assassin's Creed video games. Just because Shadows was a failure doesn't mean that suddenly those other Assassin's Creed games copies that were sold magically disappear. Valhalla sold an ungodly amount of copies, so it's of course going to continue to carry the franchise. And if they're counting success as session days, then anything can be considered a success at this point. Literally anything. This is why when you look deep down and you really read these financial reports, you realize the amount of coping and the amount of lying that these companies will do. And Ubisoft is the #1 liar to their investors by far. They go above and beyond to try to make it seem as if they're winning, but the truth is in the pudding. We can all see that Ubisoft hasn't been winning for a while. Tencent had to buy them out. They own 25% of their most popular franchises simply because Ubisoft was messing up the entire time while having complete ownership over it. They clearly didn't know what they were doing anymore, and their formulaic open world video games that are stuck with fake RPG elements just to kind of keep people grinding and eventually pay for microtransactions, it has not worked for them, and it continues to fumble the ball. Now, with all that being said, I want to now focus on the numbers, because now we know where the fake claims came from and where the journalists are running these fake stories, and I'm telling you, the stories are unbelievable. Before we go into the number, actually, let's go into some of these articles to see what these headlines actually say. If you go over to Games Radar, it says the following: the Assassin's Creed franchise exceeded our expectations. Assassin's Creed Shadows is overperforming. The Valley of Memory update for Assassin's Creed Mirage gave the game a massive boost. They literally mentioned Assassin's Creed Shadows in passing. They didn't even want to make it the focus point of the story. They made the 2023 video game, the older video game, the focus of the financial report in 2025. They didn't even bother making the 2025 release the financial report focus. It's insane. And in the article, after lying in the title and lying in the headline, they specifically stated, despite not releasing exact sales numbers for the game, Ubisoft says Assassin's Creed Shadows is overperforming compared to his expectations. This is literally a misrepresentation. They said the franchise was overperforming, and that obviously includes Shadows in it, but that doesn't mean that Shadows is the one that's overperforming. That could mean that the other Assassin's Creeds have been overperforming and resulting in multiple sessions played versus Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is not getting as much sessions played. Again, having sessions played as a metric for success is unbelievable. I really can't believe we're even here at this point. I don't even want to know what the next level of coping metrics are going to be from Ubisoft, but goddamn, you got to give them credit for coming up with some hilarious metrics in order to claim success on the chuds. It's unbelievable. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, Ubisoft that is currently trying to convince everybody they're a massive success in their financial reports. According to this article here from the same website, Games Radar, Ubisoft was blaming them basically everything else except themselves for why their games are not selling as much as they used to. They openly admitted that their games are selling less, a lot less, and they tried to blame the market. They tried to blame shifting gaming habits. They tried to blame everything else but themselves for the reason why their games are not selling. After launching Assassin's Creed Shadows and Star Wars Outlaws, Ubisoft dubs the market more volatile now amid the rise of free-to-play titles and subscriptions. Many new games are struggling. No, the new games that are struggling are the ones that are absolute garbage, that either disrespect the player's time, don't give them what they were looking for, is a sequel that nobody asked for. It depends on the situation, but ultimately the games that have been failing have a very concrete reason why they have failed, or at least underperformed compared to their previous iterations. But you can make up whatever cope you want. It's up to you, Ubisoft, at this point. You clearly have your investors fooled, or do you? Because according to the stock is currently at $1.60 for the US side of Ubisoft. You clearly don't have investors fooled. They have completely left you guys in the dust. But anyway, let's continue. When we talk about a misrepresentation of numbers, it is specifically talking about this. When they know exactly how to report their reports, everybody will go online and run these bullshit, nonsensical articles and stories, and they'll say that the game is a massive win and this proves it against the Chuds. No, it doesn't. You know what proves the Chuds, right? The fact that Tencent now owns 25% of Ubisoft's most popular IPs, and they're doing a slow, methodical death because they know exactly what they're doing. They're targeting Ubisoft. They're doing it slowly, just like they've done other acquisitions slowly. That way, they devalue the video games, they devalue the actual franchise, they devalue the company, and then they sweep in and they buy it for cheap. You think Tencent cares about spending $1 billion? They don't give a shit. $1 billion to Tencent is absolutely nothing. Have you seen their new building that they're working on? It's unbelievable. So this is what they plan. This is what they do. And everybody is eating the sauce. Everybody online is eating the sauce, with the exception of the Chuds, and it's somehow the Chuds' fault. It's somehow the Chuds getting owned. Meanwhile, you guys are getting owned, realizing that you are now partially owned by China. It's hilarious, man. So now that we know there was no Assassin's Creed release last year, it's very obvious as to why the numbers are higher than what they were. And you're going to have people coping and seething on Twitter about it. You're going to have gaming journalists running damage control and articles about it. But at the end of the day, we all know the truth about Assassin's Creed Shadows. They don't want to tell you sales numbers. In the financial reports of their investors, they won't tell you sales numbers. They rather talk about an older game from 2023 to make it seem like they're doing a hell of a lot better. And even that game, they won't talk about sales numbers anymore. They talk about players engaged. This is their new metric of success. It's an absolute joke. And now that we're monitoring sessions played, nobody's going to take them seriously, even though nobody was taking them seriously before. And their stock absolutely proves that. Now, there's one more comment that I want to focus on, and that has to do with Assassin's Creed Shadows has exceeded expectations. We have an article here from IGN that says Ubisoft says Assassin's Creed franchise exceeded expectations, driving positive financial results, but while Mirage hits a fresh milestone, Shadows' success is less clear. If you guys pay attention to this, I want you to understand that when it comes to expectations, they don't even tell you what their expectations is. Can anybody tell me right now in the comments down below what was the expectations that Ubisoft had with Assassin's Creed Shadows, or any Assassin's Creed for that matter? We can't say. We have no idea. Literally no idea. But what I can deduce is that if you mean to tell me that Assassin's Creed Shadows had surpassed expectations, even though they were really talking about the franchise, but let's just go with what the articles are saying. If Assassin's Creed Shadows surpassed expectations for Ubisoft, and it is the lowest selling Ubisoft game in Assassin's Creed in the last, I don't even know how many few years now. So you mean to tell me that Ubisoft's expectations for Assassin's Creed Shadows was that it was going to be by far the lowest selling in terms of copies sold in comparison to other Assassin's Creed games? That was their expectation, and it somehow surpassed that expectation by still being the lowest selling out of all the Assassin's Creed games? What are we doing here, ladies and gentlemen? And then one of the articles out there will tell you that, oh, it was the #2 best-selling Assassin's Creed game for dollars. Again, it's the whole revenue thing. It's not copies sold. For dollars in day one sales. They only counted day one sales because after day two, guess what? It fell off. It completely fell off. And Assassin's Creed Valhalla just completely destroyed it. Mirage destroyed it. And everything else pretty much destroyed it at that point as well. So this is just a mumbo jumbo of absolute bullshit. It is a multitude of different gaming media websites and Twitter users that are out there making up nonsense, trying to tell you that Assassin's Creed Shadows is a massive success and that it somehow destroyed the Chuds, even though Ubisoft is literally burning to a crisp. business. They're imploding from within. They're owned by the Chinese 25%. And if you think Tencent is not going for the kill at some point within the next couple of years, I think you're out of your mind. I understand that Yves Guillemot does not want to give up his power, and that's probably the biggest issue that I have with Ubisoft. There is a clear issue at the top, and unfortunately, unless you get rid of the top, you're always going to repeat the same mistakes. Everything trickles down from the top, and at this point, Yves should have backed out at this point, but he's not going to. He wants to hold the power. This is their baby. He has his son that is in charge as a co-CEO at the new subsidiary with Tencent. All of this just simply proves that they care more about having the power versus making the right business decisions, and it's really sad at this point. If you really want to improve Ubisoft, you have to get rid of Yves Guillemot, and you have to get rid of anything that was trained under him, because if you don't, it is going to be a massive problem for everybody involved as time continues to go on and the company continues to get worse. I want Assassin's Creed to get better. I really do. I was very disappointed by Shadows, and for being a grifter, I actually reviewed the game. I played the game to completion. I'm one of the few streamers that I've actually seen actually beat the game live for everybody to see. Most of the shills out there that I saw playing Assassin's Creed Shadows, they played it for 1 or 2 days because they were paid to, and then they fucking dropped the game. One of them even claimed that Assassin's Creed Shadows was the most amazing thing ever, and Grifters was just hating on it, only for a couple of months later after the check cleared for him to openly admit that the game was boring. It's unbelievable what's going on out there, ladies and gentlemen. But again, I actually played the game. I beat the game. I have disgusting 50 hours plus in that game, and I wish I could get it back. But ultimately, I did beat the game, and I wanted to confirm whether or not the game was absolute garbage. And to be fair, I wouldn't call it garbage, but I'm going to call it under mid. I'm not even going to call it mid at this point. It was severely under mid. The voice acting was atrocious. The story was boring. And honestly, I barely played as Yasuke. I'd rather play as Naoe, because that way I actually had an Assassin's Creed somewhat experience. Once you play as Yasuke, you're literally kicking people through freaking doors. You're not even playing Assassin's Creed anymore at that point. You're playing Ghost of Tsushima, the dark version. It's unbelievable. So you guys let me know in the comments down below, what do you think about this entire situation surrounding Assassin's Creed Shadows and the entire coping session around it? Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, consider liking, subscribing, commenting down below, do all the YouTube algorithm stuff, and I will see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.